Hi students, so in the previous class we have seen about building components as well as types of buildings. So next topic in construction execution is substructure, so which is from foundation to plinth level. Okay, so in substructure execution only I will be telling what are the tools we use. Apart from that, heavy equipments I covered in a separate chapter, so you can see that in construction equipment chapter. Okay, so before starting the execution work only, some soil investigation will be placed, taken much before the execution to identify the depth of the foundation or to observe the type of the soil to know the bearing capacity. So trial pits will be laid. So trial pit generally per every 400 square meter we will be taking one square pit and till 1.5 meter from the base of the footing. Why 1.5 meter means, why you have to take till 1.5 meter means, if you remember for the shallow foundation, okay, till the breadth of the footing, till the breadth of the footing we will have effect. If you remember the Terzaghi theory, so the soil that is there at the, not only the soil that is there at the foundation or above the foundation, the soil till the level B will be able to affect the bearing capacity of the foundation. So that is why even whenever we are studying water level, we will be studying water level on the ground level, between foundation and depth, below this. If the water is below this, it won't affect anyway. So identifying the properties at least till 1.5 meter below the foundation or till the breadth of the foundation is essential. Okay. So just as a thumb rule, we will be taking around 1.5 meter from the base of the footing. If they give till the base of the, at a depth till base of the footing, you can take that. Okay. So several trial pits they will be making, and so for soil and clay they will be doing standard penetration test. For murram and rock generally plate bearing test will be taking place. These are different types of soils and approximate bearing capacity in tons per square meter. In kilonewton per meter square, if you want, we can multiply into 10 for these values. Okay, just approximate value for idea. Okay, so this is the penetration test we will be doing. Apart from this, we will be doing plate bearing test also. You may be knowing already in geotechnical we will be knowing the plate bearing test, right? So this is how we take the samples. So these samples will be collected, okay, and represented as a n values with respect to depth. So you can see n value with respect to depth. Okay, so they have represented. So here you can see the legend to know what the color actually means. So yellow color means fill up. Next to this blue color we can see weathered rock or lime or clay intrusions. Next red color soft disintegrated rock, and this yellow color highly weathered rock with lime or clay intrusions. Okay, so like this they have represented the types of soils along the depth. Okay, so this is for trial pit 1, trial pit 2, trial pit 3, trial pit 4 at different depths depending on the footing they have taken and represented with rest. So what is the n value? So n value I hope you know, for 30 centimeter penetration we will be calculating the n value. So for 30 centimeter number of blows required, so maximum value 75, like this. So like this along with the depth. So based on the n value we will be knowing the types of soil. Okay, so this is how initial investigation is performed to know the depth of the foundation. Okay, so once we know the depth of the foundation, we will be going to execution work. So before starting execution of any construction site whichever you visit, so the first thing that you have to do is, this is one of the very important question even for interviews. The first thing we do for execution is creating a benchmark leveling. This is very important. Even whenever you join into a service, many vigilance departments, many people will come and ask the first question, what is the first thing you did in the site? So the answer is, first you have to establish a benchmark for the site. That is very important. Okay, so regarding the even though it is not a part of execution, but it's one of the very important thing for interview. So next coming to execution, so first thing we do is site clearance. So whatever the plants, whatever debris, everything whatever we have, we will be clearing the site initially. Okay, then we will be doing marking for the foundation. So for doing markings for the foundation, So when you have come to execution means already the site surveys, drawings, everything will be ready with you. So generally for executing the plot there will be some reference points for you. For example, already you will be having a drawing for execution for foundation, okay. So apart from foundation, even for excavation there will be separate drawings mentioning the reference points, how to excavate, okay. For example, so with any permanent structure as reference, okay. Suppose if you initially constructed a compound wall, even if you are constructing compound wall initially, you have to plan for a opening, generally gate area or whatever, you have to plan the opening so that the materials can come inside and go outside smoothly. Heavy vehicles also should be able to come. So you cannot leave simply some gate area. So you should completely avoid opening on one side area for smooth execution. Maybe most of you might be knowing, and whatever the structures that you are planning, so generally we will be coming from outside to inside, so that smooth execution will be taken. If you construct the structure inside, the vehicle movement will be very difficult. So if this is the opening, I will be constructing here and coming like this, okay. Now coming to execution, generally suppose if I say this is the part I want to execute. So in some sites individually footings will be excavated, in some other sites for individual footing marking will be placed and each footing will be excavated. In some cases the entire area will be excavated and footing marking will be placed underneath. There are different ways to execute this. So now in the drawing there is a square shape or whatever may be the shape of your building, whatever shape. So first thing, so you have represented a square, so I have visited the plot. So how to find these points? So how to find this point physically in the site? So I will be I need some reference points. So generally 2 reference points is mandatory to identify a point, whatever it may be ends of your compound wall or any other reference point, whatever you have, okay. Fixed points, permanent fixed points. So from that fixed point you should be able to measure these points, okay, and give distance x meters, y meters, okay. So using 2 tapes, if I bring x meter and y meter, these 2 will coincide somewhere in the ground, that is the reference point. So once we got the reference point, now I know where I have to take the square, okay. So this is the common take. Why you have to take only 2? This distance is already fixed na, z, okay. So when you give 3 dimensions of a triangle, can you create another triangle? Is it possible to create another triangle? It is impossible. When you give 3 angles of a triangle, you can create infinite number of triangles with the same angles. For example, I give these angles, just 3 angles x, y, z. I can create similar triangle with same angles. So there is a possibility of having another triangle with the same angle, right? So either you can give x and y or you can give one angle, 2 sides. There are so many ways to identify a unique point within the site, okay. So once we found that point, okay, next we will be doing excavation markings, okay. There are so many ways they do this. Somehow we have to find one fixed reference point from where we start the excavation, okay. So after that we will be doing excavation markings, okay. So after excavation marking we will be excavating. So this is the line down. This line down generally they will be laid using center line method only, most probably, okay. So for center line they will be using the line down, okay. So using nylon string they will be tying like this, so to transfer the footing center from top to the bottom, okay. So site clearance, marking and excavation. So during the excavation heavy equipments will be used. So JCB, Proclane, depend. So whatever the equipments I already explained in heavy equipments, depending on the situation. So after excavation, so if this is your pit, this is also one of the interview question, okay. First thing is how you are excavating. So if you are excavating like this, you have to make sure the soil is stiff clay. Why you have, or rocky, okay. So if you have a stiff clay, it will be able to stand. or if you have a rocky hot nature also, this that will be able to withstand. Instead of that, if you have a sandy soil, because of big sand cannot sand will not have vertical height, right? Only clay can have vertical height. Okay, so the maximum vertical height for a clay we already know 4c by gamma, but sand cannot stand like this vertically. Only so whenever you pour a sand, it will have a angle of it will stay with the angle of repose like this. Okay, whenever you pour sand in the site, you will be able to see a triangle. The triangle angle will be nothing but the angle of repose of the sand. Okay, so if you have a stiff clay, then you can do the excavation vertically. Else, majority of the sites, in majority of the site, it is advised to give some slope. Suppose if this is the footing area that you require, actually you have to excavate from here. Okay, so this ensures the slope stability. So already we studied slope stability. What is the vertical height of the clay? Okay, so we have to ensure the slope stability depending on the types of soil. Okay, second thing, whatever the soil that you are excavating here, if you place the soil here immediately next to the excavated area, this will create the earth pressure and makes the soil to collapse, right? So whatever the soil that you are excavating, so whatever the amount of earth that we have excavated, we should be placing whatever the excavated material that we have taken. So we should be placing at a distance so that it won't create. So generally what the convention we generally follow is we create an angle around 45 degrees angle we will be placing, so that whatever the height we have, so same amount of depth we will be having. So away from that at minimum, so here if you have 5 feet depth, at least 5 feet away from that. Okay. So till here we have the excavation. So till here we have the excavation. So from here we take a 45 degree slope generally, or in simple way whatever the height we have, same depth we will be having here like this, same distance we will be having. So minimum at this distance the excavated material has to be taken place, otherwise the even during the execution there is a possibility of collapsing the soil, which will create a unnecessary incidents for the people who are working. Okay, in some situations you will be facing a collapsible soils. Okay, so even though you are maintaining a slope, the soil will be collapsing. So in that case we will be using the stabilities, so slope stability techniques. Okay, using soil nailing, okay, or using sheet piles, or so there are so many ways we have. So mostly they will be using the sheets or soil nailing. These are the common techniques that will be used, okay, to stabilize the soil during the execution. So you can see here even this wheel load is enough to collapse this. So whatever the heavy equipments that we have, that should have enough arms so that it will be able to excavate from a distance till the depth required. Okay, so depending on that the equipment will be selecting. Okay, so this is how we will be excavating as per the markings that we have done. Okay, so second challenge after excavating that we get is dewatering. Okay, dewatering. Okay, so in some places we will be getting water. So depending on the type of reason for water and the quantity of water, different methods are adopted to remove water. So in small areas what we will be doing generally, we will create a small sump. Okay, we will excavate a small sump here. If the quantity of the water is less, what we do, in the excavated area we got huge amount of water now. So what we will do is we will create one sump at the end. Generally we will be creating at the edge, so that whatever the water that we have, that will be collected in the sump throughout the excavation, that will be collected in the sump. So inside the sump we will lay one pump. Okay, just like a submersible pump we have now. So you lay one pump, so the pump will dig away water inside the sump. Okay, so this is how you can see. So there will be a sump. So generally it will be at the corners. Okay, so if the water is heavy, at two corners also you will be able to place, so that some water will be going this side, some water. So we will maintain the slope and make sure all the water will go into the sump, and from sump we will be dewatering. Okay, so this is the sump technique. Okay, most commonly adopted for small sites. Okay, even whatever the apartments are executed in IOCL. So during that time also we faced a lot of seepage from the soil. So during that time we also excavated using these techniques only. Okay. Second one is well point system. So instead of going through sump, we will be excavating series of wells which is connected to a pipeline like this. Okay. So we will be placing a motor on the top, not a submersible pump. So this motor will pull the water from multiple wells. So through this pipeline the water will be carried. Okay. So it depends on the amount of, so here you can see the quantity of water is less. So here you can see the aquifer well points. So till this point go to this level we have to excavate. Okay. So that we will be able to execute. Okay. Why? Because the amount of water whatever we have will also affect our soil bearing capacity, gamma and gamma dash. How much difference we have? Almost 50% of the bearing capacity will be lost because of presence of moisture, which is very, very dangerous. So while executing foundation, we should never allow execution when the soil is wet. 100% we have to remove the water at any case. Okay, because 50% of the soil bearing capacity we are losing, which is highly risky. Okay. Next, adductor pipe. So this is a suction system similar to reciprocating pump. This is a suction system. Okay. So this is submersible type. Okay. This is normal how we dig with pump, and this is like a suction similar to reciprocating pump. It will create a air vacuum inside. Because of the air vacuum, low pressure is created inside, so that will lift the water. This is called adductor pipe. And last method is deep well. So deep drilled wells will be placed just like our bore wells, and a submersible pump will be sent inside. This is called deep well concept. Okay. So these are the 4 methods that will be used. So in this is one of the previous RRB JE question also in 2019. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So second thing is, so next is dewatering if required. Okay. So after dewatering, so next stage what we will be doing is again marking, footing marking, where we have to get the exact footing marking. And first thing we do is PCC. Okay. If the soil is not stable enough, and if you want to modify the soil, so generally a red clay soil will be placed for black cotton soil. Generally, if you face any black cotton soil, one thing is we can remove the black cotton soil completely, or you can use any improvement techniques like lime, geosynthetic. There are so many ways to improve. Or if the soil depth is very, very less, generally we will be removing and replacing it with a red soil, or murram also will be replaced. Replaced. Okay. So apart from this, for loose soil or uneven soils, sometimes soling work is done. So what is soling? I will show you. Okay. So generally 3 types of soling will be there. This is called brick soling. So this will create a level surface and strong surface as well, strong foundation as well. This is called brick soling. Okay. This is rock soling or stone soling. And there will be one more thing, sand soling. Did I miss this? Okay, sand soling is. So a thick layer of sand also will be placed, that is called sand soling. Okay. So to stabilize the foundation and to keep the level surface. Whenever we have a loose and uneven surfaces, to give a level and strong foundation, generally we will be doing the soling work. You may not see this in every site, but you should be aware of this also. So soling work. So next one is markings. Okay. After performing soling work, we will be doing markings. So over the marking, first thing that we do is PCC work. Okay. So after this, we will be doing PCC work. So the PCC work. So suppose if you have a foundation as per the plan like this, so you should be laying a PCC slightly away from like this. Okay, this is the PCC line. Okay, so excavation also will be done slightly away from the required foundation only. So apart from the required width or depth of the foundation, slightly more deviation only will be taking, and we will be laying the PCC here. Okay. The purpose of this PCC is, one thing is to give a level surface, just like soling, what the soling is doing, and another most important thing is to absorb the moisture from soil. This is the main reason. Whenever a concrete work is coming in contact with the soil, their PCC will be there. Whether you take plinth beam, whether you take foundation, wherever it is, whenever concrete is coming in contact with the soil, in between there will be a PCC layer. The reason is, whatever the moisture you have, in the concrete hydration process, that moisture will be taken by the soil. Okay. Okay, so whatever the PCC you have, so this level surface and absorb moisture, sorry. So, and one more main purpose is, this is the actual main reason, whatever the moisture that is there in the concrete, that will be taken by the soil. Soil will be absorbing the moisture. So, whatever the, so to avoid moisture loss in RCC. Okay. So, wherever you have RCC in contact with the soil, there you will see a PCC layer in between. Why? Because the main RCC strength whatever we have comes from the hydration. So, if there is loss of moisture from the concrete, the strength of the concrete will be less. So, whenever you are placing a RCC over the soil directly, this soil will absorb the moisture inside the RCC. So, sufficient moisture will not be there inside the concrete. So, this will lead to, you may be asking, sir, for PCC also it may absorb moisture, it may reduce the strength. So, you may be thinking like this. See, the bearing capacity of the soil is much lesser compared to strength of PCC, much lesser. So, even so apart from, so compared to soil, PCC is much stronger. So, nothing to worry, even if it absorbs moisture, nothing to worry. Even in many sites wherever the PCC laid, even this much moisture also they will not be using, generally dry layers also many places where they will be placing. The main purpose is this moisture will be absorbed by the soil. Okay. So, till the hydration process completion, moisture in the concrete is very essential to gain the strength. That is the main reason. Even for plinth beam also, which is coming in contact, before the plinth beam PCC layer will be there. Okay. So, that is the purpose of PCC. Okay. So, wherever you have foundation, everywhere there will be a PCC layer below this. Okay. Okay. So, after the PCC work, next the foundation work will start. So, for the foundation work, so this is the foundation work. So, for the foundation work, over the PCC layer whatever we have, generally a lower steel mat will be placed. Okay, over the steel mat, column reinforcement will be placed. Okay. So, obviously shuttering will be there. So, like this shutterings will be placed. So, shutterings will be placed. Over this, some rods will be placed to maintain the gap depending on the depth of the foundation, and a top mat will be placed. Okay. So, this is called chairs. Okay. So, this is called chairs. So, these chair steels will be placed to maintain the depth between lower mesh or lower mat and upper mesh. Okay. So, some chairs will be placed around 4 or 6 depending on the size of the foundation. So, 2, 4, 6 like this minimum chairs will be placed to maintain the gap. Okay. So, finally, you will be able to see something like this. Okay. And the reinforcement arrangement rules we know. So, how much we should have at the center, everything you know, right. So, after this concreting will be done. Finally, concreting followed by vibration. So, you can see this is vibrator. This is also one of the equipment that will be used. Okay. Is it pumping concrete or vibrator? Vibrator also will have similar to pipe only. I think this is a big pipe maybe. Okay, so maybe pumping concrete. So similar to this, there will be one pipe vibrator also, surface vibrators. So not surface vibrator, needle vibrator. So needle vibrator also will have some small pipe. So by placing the needle, we will be able to compact, or using tamping rods also we can compact this. Okay. Okay. So after that, we will be concreting the columns by placing the shutterings. We will be pouring the concrete in layer wise. Okay. So this is how we will be constructing the footings. Next, coming to different tools and equipments that we use in the site. Okay, pickaxe, generally for baking we will be using, this is called pickaxe, and spade, so for spading works we will be using, and mortar pans to carry earth or even mortar, whatever, we will be using mortar pans, and crowbar, generally to remove nails, and we will be using crowbar, chisel for chiseling work, hammer, and personal protection equipment, PPE. This is also very important. Maybe they may ask what is PPE. So for every labor we have to provide the personal protection equipments. Okay. So whether it is uniform or helmet. Okay. So depending on the situation, the personal protection equipment list will be changing. Okay. Gloves, safety shoes, like this. Okay. Next, nylon string and lime powder for doing the line. So for marking, after placing the lines, we will be pouring a lime powder to identify the footings. So for that purpose, and a template or forma. So template means this is a template to indicate the site is under construction. So at the outer edges we will be mentioning there is under construction site here. Okay, this is called template. And machines, bulldozers, excavators. For dozing works, we will be using bulldozers and excavators, tractors and dumpers to take the soil, and compressors with hammers, drilling equipments if any required, and water pumps for dewatering techniques. Okay, so these are the equipment that will be used for excavation.